Vavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidveshavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Welcome you all for this session of Bhagavad Gita from Arshavidya Gurukulam. Started with the Hindu temple of Allentown here in Pennsylvania. And we have been seeing several slokas in the 5th chapter. And we are towards the end of the 5th chapter. And we have just 3 more shlokas left. So it's a very great session for also a summary of this chapter. So a lot of benefits are there by attending the last class. So of the 5th chapter. And the last 3 shlokas, the topic there is meditation. Because the next chapter starts with meditation. Then the whole chapter, the whole 6th chapter is for meditation. So just as a prelude, Bhagavan is giving 3 shlokas. He is just dedicating for this dhyanam. And so hence what? That means he has completed the material which he wants to finish for the 5th chapter, right? So it's a good moment, occasion to see a small summary. And then towards the end of these 3 shlokas, we'll have a little bit more summary. That way our summary is kind of split between the beginning of these 3 shlokas and the end of these 3 shlokas. So Bhagavan, what he has been saying, Samyak Darshana, he has been, for the last several shlokas, Bhagavan has been talking regarding Jnani. And if I can remind, he has been saying in the 24th shloka, Brahma Nirvanam Adhigacchati. He gains that. He will be situated in the knowledge of Brahman forever. Steadily, he'll be very steady with that knowledge, even being in this world. He's alive, he's transacting, but he's steady with that knowledge of himself as Brahman or herself as Brahman. So that has been then again 25th shloka. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam. Again the word Brahma Nirvanam. So we saw this word Brahma is our self, our true self, and our self free from all the limitations. So the limited self, which we are in terms of the body, mind, senses, which is there for transaction, everything. But our cells, technically, every medicine has a what? Two names, right? One is a common name, other is a technical name, right? They call it crocin, or that sin, this sin. But look at that in the back, there'll be a long, huge name as that main active component, right? So that active component, the real name is Brahman. That is us. But we also have some technical transactional reality for this body, mind, senses and all that. But when we situate our I, one and only in this body and mind and what all the whims and fancies it is are seeking, then there's a problem, right? Otherwise, there's no problem. So that person who is free from that problem, his mind is steadfast in the knowledge of Brahman. So that is called Brahma Nirvanam. And he gains that. So, and again in another shloka also, what is it said is Brahma Nirvanam Vartate. I'm just highlighting this word Brahma Nirvanam has come in more than one shloka, in the last few shlokas only. So that is for the Jnani. Jnani, who is seeking and who is sought and who has obtained that knowledge, who has seen himself in that light of that reality. Now, of course, this chapter's title, the 5th chapter's title is Jnana Karma Sannyasa. That may not be in the first page. If you've seen the last page of this 5th chapter, you will see that, I don't know if it is in that book, it should write what is the name of this chapter by saying that we are concluding this chapter by name Jnana Karma Sannyasa. It is there. Is it there? It may not be there. So why I'm trying to say that is this chapter is again about Karma Yoga also. This chapter is again, Karma Yoga is also a huge topic in this chapter, which is always one of the favorite topic of Bhagwan. For the sake of moksha, Karma Yoga for the sake of moksha. So that has been also a topic. And Karma Yoga has been presented as Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, offering all our actions, all our bhava, including our attitude and whatever goes on in our mind, whatever cheshta. Cheshta means whatever technical changes that are happening in the mind in terms of thoughts and in the body, senses, and all that. We are offering as our offering to Ishvara in the place of flowers. Okay? Every day we do this because every day we do action. And then accepting the results as prasada from Bhagwan. So this Karma Yoga is Brahmani Adhaya. Adhaya means it is rooted in the knowledge of Ishvara. Here Brahmani is the Ishvara. It is rooted in the knowledge. Ishvara, I'm giving up something, but I'm holding on to who? Bhagavan. I'm just giving up the ways my mind wants to, go do this just to satisfy what I like or what I dislike. It may look like a giving up, but I'm firmly holding on to that Ishvara is a karma phaladata. He is the giver of the results. He knows what is best to me. This is a karma yogi. So what happens in this process? In this process, when we perform actions like this, it's like a broom, right? So when you keep brooming, what happens is all the negativities in terms of rajas and tamas. What happens to the rajas and tamas? Rajas is that agitation, frustration, all that which can come as a part and parcel of action and which can sometimes drive us to do something which we don't want to, right? That rajas is all broomed away. Tamas is what? That the kind of sense of sorrow, sadness deep inside, which is not letting us get up and do something, as if we feel stuck. That is tamas. That is also broomed away. Then what is remaining? Remaining is sattva. Sattva is that knowledge, whatever knowledge, that knowledge, which will give you some peace, relative, objectivity. That knowledge remains. So that sattva remaining and rajas and tamas going away as much as it can, that is called sattva shuddhi, antakarana shuddhi. I have prepared my mind. I have broomed my mind. So brooming is not vacuuming. Vacuuming, you remove everything. All right. So then something else will come and sit. So that's why we leave the sattva. Sattva is there. So it's not that we're emptying our mind. That's not the point. We are actually living what we need and working what we need for progressing. So that is antakarana shuddhi. And what happens with this mind? With this relative objectivity, you become a very sincere seeker in your life. And then what is remaining is moksha, freedom, sense of freedom. Even while you're performing everything, that relative freedom, that absolute freedom in terms of knowledge is remaining. And that happens with shravana, studying, listening. Even as you're listening now, there's some expansion, right? So that will be complete. So that happens through shravana only. This expansion happens through shravana. Even if it happens when you're quiet, sitting and all that, it might be a seed based on shravana, based on listening. And if someone argues that seed is not there, that is not required, then that expansion, whatever he sees, it may not be true also. It may not be true, because that expansion itself, the concept of expansion of ideas and all that, it is all, the possibility is also part of Shravana, part of listening and thinking, oh, it's possible. I don't have to always think only this way. I can think this way also. So all that expansion is happening because of listening to knowledge in any area. So this has been told by Bhagavan several times, pade pade. That is also there. Every time Bhagavan has been bringing this up, whatever I just said. Right now, ata idanim, now dhyana yogam, the yoga, because what happens even after listening can clarify all doubts regarding what you're reading or what you're trying to understand, right? But then there's doubts when you walk out of the room. There are so many situations. But this is what people say, application and all that. It's not application. It is just now you have resolved all the textual doubts. But then in the real world, there are other contradicting texts. I'm just using the word texts or experiences. Then you have to see how what I have understood can be true in any situation. That is reflection and appreciating. That is manana. That is called manana technically. In those days, what? There'll be Advaita Vedanta. Then there'll be some other school of thought. They will say, how are you saying that your Swarupa, your Swarupa is Bhagavad Swarupa? How can you say that your true nature, yourself is Ishvara? How can you say the Ishvara is yourself? How can you say there is none other than Ishvara, like that? As though you're Ishvara. It sounds as though you're Ishvara. That cannot be true. You're just a speck. You're just a part. You're just a branch. You're just a leaf. It is like saying, if the wave discovers, I am water and the ocean is also water, and if the other wave comes and says, how can you say? It's a blasphemy. It's blasphemy. How can you all be water? How can you say, how dare you say you are water? How dare you say ocean is water? How dare you say it is the same water? You see the funny argument? So likewise, you may have other contradicting arguments from other philosophies. So the resolution of that only, what does it do? It firms up your knowledge. Technically, academically, it firms up your knowledge, which is very important, right? So that firming up is required. That is mananam. In spite of all this, now at my own personal level, how happy I am, how cheerful I am, that depends on how much less erroneous I am in taking myself to be just this body, mind, and its limitations, right? Ultimately, that is the proof of the pudding is in eating, right? Am I right? So there is a proof of the pudding here. So so that means what? Sometimes that viparita bhava, that understanding is there, but sometimes the erroneous, mechanical, erroneous, spontaneous, thought also is there regarding taking myself to be only this much. That sorrow I, that unhappy I, that insignificant I, this kind of things, that angry I, and all that. So what helps is, after this knowledge, what helps is some meditation based on this knowledge. So to remove the viparita bhava. And this viparita bhava, people misunderstand. They think, I already have that bhava. The person can already have that problem, and he is studying. And afterwards, if he is going to have still that problem, then what is the use? No, this viparita bhava is regarding this person taking himself to be just the body at his own personal level. It is even not evident. It is, he is so sensitive, he is so clear the knowledge, he can see the ways of his mind, and he sees that this is the area I need to still further work, and for that I take up to meditation. You see the difference between the error we are committing now versus the error committing that error, lesha. Lesha is, that very small amount of habitual pattern of thinking, which is residual, and that only that person knows. The other person won't see that. Other person will see is a jnani because of his knowledge. This person will still spend some time in meditation to resolve that also. So that meditation is, hence you see the way the meditation really fits in. This is called nididhyasanam, contemplation, nididhyasanam. These are the words they use. And these shlokas, the 3 shlokas from 27 onwards are regarding this topic, which will be the whole chapter which is coming. So we'll, because everybody needs some relaxation. After all this, we need to shrama. Shrama is what? Effort. After some effort, you also need a, what is that? Vishram. Shram and then Vishram. Shram is effort. You need to put karma yoga, karma yoga, karma yoga. Now it's time for some dhyana yoga. Look at the shloka, how it goes. And you can repeat also if you can. Sparshan kritva bahir bahyan. Sparshan kritva bahir bahyan. Chakshuschaivaantare bhruvoho. Chakshuschaivaantare bhruvoho. Pranapanau samau kritva. Pranapanau samau kritva. Nasabhyantara charinau. Nasabhyantara charinau. The 27th shloka. And we'll get into the shloka. So here in this shloka, I'm just rearranging the words. Same words, just a little rearranged, so that way we can form a nice sentence. So, bahyan sparshan. Sparshan kritva bahi bahyan. The last word in the first line, I'm making the first word. Bahyan sparshan. Because this word bahyan is an adjective to the word sparshan. So sparshan is actually a plural. It means touch and all that is related to the senses, like seeing, smelling, hearing, everything. 5 senses, right? So shabdadhina. So this is sparshan is a new word used here, but we can also say shabdadhina. Shabdadi, we can take one of the senses, ears, and say ear, hearing, etc. Here he's saying touch, etc. That's all he's saying. So you can say hearing, etc. So hearing of what? All the vishaya. The vishaya. The vishaya is these senses seek based on our needs. But those needs, if they're just needs, they're fine. But if there are strong sense of likes and dislikes and always the extrovertness, going after false values, those kinds of seeking, those are the sparshan. Those are the senses are always, we want to keep feeding the senses with their respective objects. Busy, entire life is busy with that. Right? Many people, it's all time, it just eats our time. Now this is, and look at all the sense objects. Are they inside or outside? In fact, the fact they're seeking itself says they are all outside, right? So that's why the adjective bahyan sparshan, those that are outside, those vishaya, those matters, those situations, those people who we have taken in, they're all actually where? They're all actually outside, bahyan. And so when they're outside, you don't have to get excited along with that outside object, be it people, be it situation, be it an object you like and that's going away from you. Right? So they're outside. Like a patient went to the doctor, and the patient was very excited. Doctor, I think I have a problem. I think I have a problem. I have a problem. He was jumping literally. And if the doctor also The patient is outside the doctor, like it's not his problem yet. He might be in a minute. The doctor cannot also act funnily. He cannot keep jumping along with him. Oh, are you excited? I should do something for you. Come, sit. Oh, no, I'm very concerned about you. What is it? Like that? If he's also so panicky, if someone sees, they will not know who is the patient, who is the doctor, right? A third person. So what does it say? The doctors should not internalize that patient, right? So he's patient. Okay, now the doctor has to be even more cooler. You see the people in the emergency, they look very cool. They would look very calm. That is one of the training. You should, and the patient is excited, the family is excited, but they are trained to be very cool. If there is so much excitement, they even say, "You all stay away," right? So you keep the outside things outside. What is outside? Leave it where it is. People, situation, whatever it is. This is a part of meditation. This is a Puja Swamiji's important starting point while he is giving meditation. He'll say the same line, Bahyan sparshan bahihi kritva. Keep the outside objects outside. Bahihi means outside. Kritva, keep them, have them outside. Okay? And how is this possible? Shankaracharya Maharaj says, give us more information on this. What is really happening? So what's really happening is the objects are outside, people are outside, situation is outside. What's happening is they're internalized mentally. Mentally, they're internalized. So Bhashyakara Shankaracharya Maharaj is saying, and don't apply your mind to them. That's what he's saying. What do you mean by not applying? Dwell time, reduce the dwell time. So those kind of tips are there. So reduce the dwell time, have some healthy distractions to do and all that. So that way you don't have to allow them, let them be absorbed and internalized and become your problem. Then once this area is, with some little practice in this area, then chakshuhu, I'm just following the shloka, chakshuhu, eyes. So eva bhruvoho antare. So here bhruvo, we have these English words, eyebrows. The that bro is actually in Sanskrit called bhruvo, bro. So we can easily see where we got these bros from Sanskrit. So here it says bro antare. So this would mean that, literally this would mean just moving your eyeball towards the eyebrows here like this, this looking like that. But that is not the point. The point is because that is a strain. As a strain, and that may be harmful also, and that is very distractive. You know why? Because it doesn't remain like that. Then your focus is, whole meditation is about just trying to keep this here. It becomes like that. So here it means eye is one source where you can take in so many things in the world, from the world situations, people, and all that. So those eyes, keep them focused. Puja Swamiji would say what? Close your eyes slowly, and may your eyes be relaxed like the eyes of Buddha, Bhagavan Buddha. So here Bhagavan Buddha Swamiji uses once just to say your eyes can remain, because everyone has some picture of how Buddha sits in his statue, So likewise. So that is all it means, just to be focused, not taking things from outside. Then the other point mentioned in this shloka is nasabhyantara charinau pranapano samau. Then this regarding the breathing. Nasabhyantara charinau, abhyantara charinau. The breath which goes inside. Charina means which travels. The breath which goes inside and outside. And what can you do about that? It goes inside, right? Through the nostrils. And actually, if you can actually focus on that and see, and then it goes here actually. If you can open your eyes and see, it'll go here next. and then it'll go here, and then it'll go. You can make it go here, or you can just take it inside. And then you can also practice that breathing in. People, when I say focus on your breath, people immediately focus. They think it's a good, they get it right away. But if at the moment I say focus on your breathing, if that person is breathing out, then that person will be focusing only on breathing out during each cycles. The breathing in also happens, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. But the person will invariably focus on only breathing out, because the first time when I said, he was breathing out. If that person was breathing in, then for all the subsequent cycles, he will be only focusing on breathing in. So here they say, focus on breathing out and also breathing in. Try that for a few times. You'll see that's a big difference compared to just focusing on only one part of it. When you do that, the breathing in and breathing out becomes equal. Makes a big difference. So these are this is all it's mentioned here. Somehow that sama word is there, right? Which means equal. So your breathing in and breathing out should be equal when you're sitting in meditation. And it can be, slow, steady. When somebody runs, what is more, breathing in or breathing out? I think breathing out more. He doesn't know. He thinks we're taking fresh air. Nothing is happening. And your breathing out is more. And for some other activity, the breathing in, suppose if someone is feeling breathless, you'll try to breathe in more. Breathe out is less. So this needs a practice, actually. So this is regarding this shloka. This shloka is what it's saying, shutting out the external objects and keeping the eyes between the two eyebrows closed, keeping the movement of the exhalation and inhalation in the nostrils equal, rhythmic. Then what you do? We go to the next shloka. Okay. So the next shloka is what? Yatendriyamano buddhihi munirmoksha parayanah vigatecha bhaya krodha yasada mukta yevasah. So relatively, we have from the previous shloka, we have done three things. One is what? We have withdrawn our senses relatively from the sense objects, or we have left. That's not the right word. That is the usual way of saying. But this shloka is saying what? We are living the external objects, external, living where they belong to, not here, wherever they are. Then we have done some, we have closed our eyes. Then we have taken up to some breathing exercise to just make them equal. When that is the case, after having done so much, this person, whoever can give himself to this kind of a little practice, and remember, we are talking regarding a jnani who has done Shravana and Manana, and he is just working on his Viparita Bhavana, which is an habitual error. That person, what he does, and he's already an Yatendriya Manobuddhihi. That is a shloka, the shloka I've read. I'm just rearranging the words. Yata Indriya Manobuddhihi. You can see that word in the shloka. Yeah, that is the very first word, right? Yatendriya Manobuddhihi. Yata Indriya Manaha Buddhihi. Indriyascha Manascha Buddhischa. Cha is and in Sanskrit. So Indriya is what? Senses. And Manaha, mind, and Buddhi, intellect. Yataha is what? Yatna Shilaha, one who was relatively composed. One who is relatively composed. One who has these in his hands or her hands. He is not given to their whims and fancies, but they are available for him for his use. So one who has this kind of a Buddhi. See, this is the external things bind us. When we go after a situation, people and all that, that is a kind of binding only, right? Our senses are bound. They seek, if it's a pleasurable situation, they keep seeking the same thing. That kind of a binding, wanting the same experience. And if it is a situation which is displeasing, however good it is, if it is displeasing, then that is also a kind of binding. We try to avoid that, right? So this kind of a bind, this is called bandha. Especially this is called bandha in Sanskrit. Binding, either to get rid of or to keep holding to. Both are kind of binding. And in Sanskrit, there is another word called sambandha. Have you heard of that word, sambandha? What does sambandha mean? Sambandha means relative. He is my sambandhi, they say. Maru, sambandhi, che. Means what? That means he is my relative. So you don't say Maru bandha che. He is my bondage. You don't use it, but it is bondage. But you make it sound nice by saying he is my sambandhi. Okay, you cover it up. Which cover it up because what? Bhagavan has given all your relationships and all for your own growth. So in a way, the covering up is also, it's not really covering up. It is for your growth only. But if you kind of bifurcate that word, there is bandhi there in that. Sambandhi, there's bandhi, bondage, that is there. What I'm trying to say is here, it's not regarding people. Here regarding the senses being bound to their objects and hankering and longing and seeking only those kinds of experiences. But the world is full of several experiences, all put there by Ishvara for our own emotional growth and maturity, right? So that is objectivity. So that objectivity is not allowed to blossom. But this yata indriya manobuddhi, sanyata, he's got sanyata. Yata is sanyata means he's got mastery over them, that person. And then what else is his characteristic? He's moksha parayanaha. Parayanaha means given to. So he is not given to senses, mind and its ways, but he is given to moksha. That is that's both. He's not given to this, but he's totally given to moksha. He's taking all his activities have one aim, or as with one refuge, which is that I will get there in terms of moksha. That is called parayana, moksha parayana. Or kuch nahi chahiye. Nothing else matters to me. People don't. Nothing else matters. People may be like this way and that way. Their behavior doesn't matter to me. Perhaps they're making me more mature. Perhaps those are the ways I need to. I never looked at something in that light. So likewise, he's very objective. That person is very objective because he keeps traveling for his moksha. There's no time for him to stop and brood and get moody and bored and all that, right? So that is moksha parayana. Now, and he will feel at home, not when situations and objects all fall in place. He will feel at home when he has accomplished his moksha. That is him. Now, then what else? Then look at this person. Vigata icha bhaya krodha. This beautiful compound word. Vigata is free from what? These three things. This is what? Icha, binding desires. The desires that don't match up with what is really good for you. You see? Those are the binding desires. He's free from that. And bhaya, fear. So if the desires don't match up with what is good, and if you go and get it and accomplish it, then you want to protect it. Because this can go away anytime from me. I don't deserve it, but I got it. So you keep holding on to it. Then there's a fear that you might lose it. That is bhaya. That is also not there for this jnani. That fear is not there. And then what if you lose it? What if someone comes in your way of experiencing those those objects of your pleasure? There's a krodha, there's an anger also, there's an upset, frustration, irritation. That is how it grows. Little irritation, frustration, then some upset, then anger. Even upset is at that level is okay. Once it is at the level of anger, krodha, so hard, immediately there's a paschatap. There's a sense of guilt and hate, and all the cycle starts. So this person is free from the krodha also. Why? Why is it so? Because he is munihi. Is what munihi, muni sage, mananashila, one who was given to some introspection, some inquiry, some analysis. He has analyzed so well that what stands out is Ishvara. His mind is manana, his mind is given to Ishvara. That is the munihi. So he sees everything, but the Lord's hand, Almighty's hands in everything. And saha, that person, saha, sada, all the time. Sada is all the time. Muktaha. So for the person who is given to worldly things, his sense of freedom is when he gets that, I feel so good now. I don't need anything more, at least for some time. His freedom is all dependent on acquiring based on a strong sense of likes and dislikes, which may or may not match with what is truly valuable for him in terms of his emotional, intellectual growth. So that mukti is his mukti. This person, this jnani's mukti, wise person's mukti, is free from that kind of a seeking. So it is called sada. It is available all the time. It doesn't leave him after that. That this mukti, this mukta, this moksha. He is alive and he is still enjoying this freedom. Isn't it something? It's the best situation in anybody's life. To be free, at the same time to be alive. This freedom is not something about dying and accomplishing later. So this is eva, and or kuch, that this is all he needs. He doesn't need anything else for his moksha. Because what he sees, why is he free from this fear? Look at this beautiful experience which he has. This jnani. Jnani says, my body, mind, senses, it is a projection on myself. Just like snake and whatnot is a projection on the rope, my body, mind, senses is a beautiful, excellent projection. And kalpit, they say kalpit, adhyaropa. Likewise, the other person who I am trying to relate, who I am trying to, unable to relate, or who I have difficulty with, in that case also, his body, her body, mind, senses is also projection on my true self only. If one wave is going to look at the other wave and say, I'm going to fight with you, okay? I'm going to fight with you. You think you're bigger than me? You think you're smarter than me? I'm going to fight with you. This wave is projecting all the limitations on where? On water. This wave is nothing but water, and it is projecting everything on water, not knowing it is water, and not knowing the other wave. So this jnani wave, what does it do? I'm water. This ocean, the Ishvara, ocean Ishvara is also water. That other wave is also beautiful. It's all water. My own self in such a beautiful, different shape. Look at them. Look at the different ways this waves, is splattering. Splattering anger, splattering whatever it is splattering, Look at this is all projection on my water, which is myself, right? So this is just illustration, but this illustration is true. In reality also for Jnani, this is the truth for the Jnani. It is all projection on his true nature. like the projection on water and water only. So that way is free from anger, hatred, and this fear and the binding sense of sense of the worldly things, the binding feeling towards worldly things. So now this is the case. Having this is the end of this second shloka of today. What is the translation which Pujya Swami has given? The contemplative person who has mastered his or her organs of action, senses, mind, and intellect, for whom moksha is the ultimate end, who is free from desire, fear, and anger, that person is always liberated indeed. Indeed. Now we'll come to the final shloka of this chapter. What is the shloka? Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam nyatva mam shantim richati. It's a beautiful shloka because the question can be asked based on just the previous two shlokas. This person looks so accomplished. What else? If he is so accomplished just because he has the attitude of karma yoga, and then what? He has given up all the karmas. Manasa, is so contemplative, is free from karma because of his knowledge. Then why should he be seeking because of his knowledge? Then should we say he's free from knowledge also? He doesn't have to seek any more knowledge. He doesn't have to seek knowledge. Not any more knowledge. Not a right word. So what is that he needs to know? I mean, it has been told, but here exactly what is the knowledge which can accomplish all that has been told in terms of freedom. That knowledge is highlighted here because Jnatva word is there. Knowing, powerful knowing. Knowledge is power. Knowledge can purify. Knowledge can just, like a carpet, it can, like a rug, knowledge can remove everything in one go. Because it is only going to be removing our error and showing, and then what is remaining is our self-shining nature. So here, yajna tapasam, the second word, yajna and tapas. Yajna is what? Yaga is what? Homa is what? Havan is what? All that we do, right? That is the word yajna. But here, Bhagavad in Gita never talks regarding the yajna where we have to offer ghee. He's talking about the yajna where you have to offer your karma, nitya karma, role playing. Puja, role playing. You offer all your roles. This is a role I'm taking now at this moment. This is a role given by Ishvara. Accept it. And whatever I perform, I'm going to perform it as an offering to Ishvara. So this is the Nitya and Nainitya karma, your actions. Sandhya Vandan included. Sandhya Vandan also. Prayers also. But that is all part of karma. It is not a part of yaga. So this karma is the yaga here. Karma yoga is the yaga here. Because here in karma yoga, you care only about what? Only about Ishvara. Because you're very clear, he is the karma phala data. Ishvara is the giver of the results of my action. The karma itself cannot produce result. It can produce result. Because you can say this karma is bad karma, so it has to give a certain result only. Or this karma is a good karma, it can only give a certain result only, right? But over and above, who really decides is Ishvara. Just like the boss decides the promotion, the boss decides the increment. There may be all factors put in. Your karma is just one of the factors. Your action is just one of the factors. But he decides, right? He can decide more in favor of yourself. That makes a big difference, right? If everybody gets, because of coronavirus, all the staffs, if they're getting only 1% increment or 0.1% increment, And if the boss decides that you have some potential, you have some, he needs to encourage, he wants to encourage you for some reason, and he gives you 0.2%. Although it is a very small increment, but comparatively, you feel good. Relatively, you feel good, right? So, Ishvara makes all the difference for us. For Karma Yogi, Ishvara makes all the difference. So, Yajna is those kind of karma. And Tapas. So, Yajnanam Tapasam Bhoktaram. Tapas is all those, activities, austerities, penance, and whatnot. And then so all the fasting and upavas and all that. Now, there's always a doer, right? There's a doer involved. But here it says, yajna, the one who is enjoying the results of the yajna, the one who is enjoying the results of your hard work, your karma, seemingly then, he is Ishvara. Bhoktaram is Sarvaloka, that Bhoktaram, and the one who is doing. So the performer of all the activities, right? The performer of all the activities and the enjoyer of all these activities, in general, we take it is me, the person. But here, it is the Antaryami Ishvara Bhagavan. That Bhoktaram is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is that Maheshwar. He is that Ishwar, and not just Ishwar, he is Maheshwar. Maheshwar is why? Because he is not just restricted to even this and in this one universe. Sarvaloka Ishwar. Ishwar for all the loka. Loka is all the people, all the beings. And that is one Ishvara. One Antaryami. Antaryami is how is it translated in English? Antaryami is called indweller. So, my indweller, whoever is is my indweller. Can he be different from who is your indweller? We say indweller, my indweller, after stripping off all the body, mind, and senses, and all those faculties. Then I say, still there is this. Someone is left who is the indweller. In the waking state, we are all experiencing all this world and all that, right? With our eyes and senses and all that, and we transact based on our body, mind, senses. In the dream state, they're all what I should say, not available, but there's a dream world available, right? The mind is active in the dream world to some extent, right? So we think that we are there in the dream. That we is different from the waking state we. And then in the deep sleep state, even the mind is not active. There's no space, there's no time. But are you there or no? In that state, you are there, right? So what about that you compared to the waking you? It is the same you, but then in the waking state, we don't experience that you, right? So what I'm trying to say is that indweller can be free from all your attributes and still he can exist. That indweller between you and me cannot be different. Between you and anybody else cannot be different. So he is the one who is required, necessary and required condition is that indweller for someone to perform something. And it is that same indweller, Antaryami, who is the necessary and efficient and effective and requirement for someone to enjoy something also. So effectively, that indweller is the one who is the bhokta, who is the bhoktaram, who is the bhokta when some results are produced and also when action is done. Yajna, tapasam, bhoktaram, that is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So this is all this person has to know. I mean, for the jnani, he knows all this. So that is all, that is all explained here. Then Sarva Bhutanam Suhridam. So what a beautiful word, see. This person is a friend. Who? This Ishvara. This Ishvara is a friend. Suhridam is friend. But he's a friend in need and a friend indeed. Because he's the sun, you see, sun is called a friend. He's called Mitra. One of the names for sun is what? Mitra. You say Mitra Yanamaha. In Surya Namaskar, first is what? Mitra. Mitra is what? Friend. Why is he a friend? Because he can do, you do argya, you pray to him, you don't pray to him, he is still shining light on you. He wants to be always friendly, always giving, right? So that is sun. Actually, this quality is called suhrit. Suhrit, that word suhridam is there. Suhrit is one who gives, who does, who helps even without any expectation. That is a suhridam. And here, who is suhridam? Your antaryami, my antaryami, who is not away from us. That Bhagavan Ishvara, he is the suhrid. For who? Sarva bhutanam. For all beings is suhrid. And knowing mom. Mom is what? Knowing me. Bhagavan is saying, knowing me. Jnatva. But here that me is not Bhagavan Sri Krishna standing in front of Arjuna. That's very important. Because here, Sarva Lokanam Ishwaram, then he is what? He is both Bhokta and also Karta. Yajna Tapasam Bhoktaram. So who is that? When Arjuna is experiencing sorrow, Krishna is not experiencing that sorrow, who is standing in front of him. But when Arjuna is experiencing sorrow, that possibility is because of, that experience is because of, the possibility is because of his indwelling Ishvara, Antaryami, right? And when Krishna is speaking, that is when Krishna is giving, doing something, that is possibility is because of the Antaryami, which is Krishna's Swarupa only. Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, that whole deha, that is just abhasa. That is not, no, that is not as we take up a form. That is there. But then when Bhagavan says Mam, is talking about the indweller me, self. Because that is indweller is the one person who is experiencing and also doing. Or at least he is the one who is the cause for that possibility. So knowing this, the yogi is Shantim Richati. He gets the Shanti, peace. What kind of Shanti? Which is free from all kinds of, all kinds of expectation. This Shanti, this peace is not based on signing a peace treaty. This Shanti is not based on signing an agreement. This Shanti is a Shanti of yourself, which is unaffected, which is not affected. In spite of all this bhokta, being a bhoktaram, it is still not affected. It is not affected by the karma and omissions and commissions. It is free from that. So that Shanti, Richati, he obtains, reaches. So by this knowledge of Surtam Sarvabhutanam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, that knowledge, Ishvara knowledge. Ishvara as my own self, my own indweller, not separate from me. That Ishvara. That knowledge is the reason why this person is free. So having said that, this whole chapter again, a summary in a few more words. Before that, I'll read the translation for the shloka. Knowing me as the sustainer of rituals and disciplines, knowing me as a sustainer and a sustainer of rituals and disciplines, the Lord of all the worlds, friend of all beings, he or she gains peace, liberation. And then this chapter, fifth chapter, again summarizing one more time, is regarding Karma Yoga. But here, Karma Yoga is the one who performs Karma Yoga, like you. He's called Nitya Sannyasi. The first time the word Nitya Sannyasi is used for the Karma Yogi, only in this chapter. He's a sannyasi, Bhagavan is saying. He doesn't have to take the Akhar robe. Nitya Sannyasi is even flowery word, actually, compared to sannyasi, right? Or ever sannyasi. And that is, so the Karma Yogi is better than a sannyasi who is not given to knowledge. That's what it says. But even better than the Karma Yogi, as we walked towards the end of the chapter, even better than the Karma Yogi is that one who is also gaining this knowledge. That's what we have come. That's what we have kind of concluded. And this knowledge is possible when we make some inquiry, analysis, and when we are free from kama, krodha, raga, dvesha. That relative freedom should be there. All that has been highlighted, right? Vega, the force with which our Kama and Krodha is coming, we can act on that. Then we can be the one who is having a composed mind. All this help, they're all sadhanas. And with this help, you make an inquiry about yourself. That is called Tvam Pada Shodhanartha. And then you see that yourself is free from the limitations of the mind and body and senses. That relatively we should be able to see. Myself is free from, I don't have to situate myself in the mind and its whims and fancies and all that and think that that is what I am. So like that, we can relatively see ourselves free from all these things. That is Tvam Pada Shodhanartha. Then about Ishvara, as we saw here, the indweller, Tatpada Shodhanartha. Then, then Shravana Manana. This is all by studying the scriptures and resolving all the doubts and all that. But then what is remaining is, that kind of a steadfastness in this knowledge and resolving the Viparita Bhava, the habitual pattern of thinking and all that, which is all going to be the most, one of the most popular chapter in this Gita, which is the chapter of Dhyana or meditation, which we'll see starting with next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all for being with us until the 5th chapter. We'll see you quickly in a minute or two in the Bhagavatam session. Please come, Zoom, so we can see each other.